I expected this show to just be straight up etchy, boobies, panties, kissing, and all that freaky stuff. Actually, that might have been an understatement. This show was more than what I was able to handle. If you got me covering the screen because of how lewd it can get, then you have outmatched me. To put this into perspective, I already watched the show when I was a teenager. So, you know how that looks when a boy's just hitting puberty and all that hormones going through the roof? You can at least put the pieces together and guess how that ended up being. I watched the show caring only for the etchy stuff. Well, a few years later, it's still the same, but there's a little bit more. Because I genuinely did enjoy the show. Yes, I know it's filled with so much etchy, even I myself got embarrassed watching it. But you gotta hear me out, okay? Please. Just this once. Like, yeah, studying with your sister by writing down information on her body or eating chocolate lipstick straight from your other sister's lips is batshit insane. It really is. But there's only one saving grace out of all of this, and that's they are not related. That's the only reason why I'm willing to put up with all of this, no matter how freaky these step siblings can get. Because they're not blood related. Although I think I gotta address the elephant in the room first, and that's I won't be going into every lewd scene in this anime, just because if I describe them in detail, I would die of embarrassment if I did. In spite of that, the show was actually a banger. I genuinely enjoyed the whole thing. I mean, yes, the concept of an incest anime is already crazy, and then you add the fact that they're all in high school slash middle school in Japan. Gang, some dude went all out writing down their fantasies on paper, then he gets so lucky they turn it into an anime. I want to start off with the cast. I liked all of them. No joke. Typically, the shy, easily flustered MC trope doesn't get a lot of love from me, but Keita? I wanted him to be the only guy in this show. You know those three horn dog friends he has who pretty much stick with him because of his sisters? Yeah, to hell with those bastards, okay? I think because there's a balance. Almost every other dude in the show is either thirsting or obsessed with the twins. And so, all I think about these guys are wild animals. There was even that one time the sisters decided to hang out with other dudes only for them to just hate the whole experience. And so I started looking at it and thinking, yeah, Keita literally is the only sorta decent guy in this whole anime. Okay, not to mention, every single woman in this show is crazy. Look, I love the twins. Of course, not in a way that I'm sexually attracted to them. That's reserved for the teacher. Okay, Rikune and Akone weren't that annoying, or, made me feel they were too much for the show. But growing up, I had a thing for Akone. Now that I'm a little bit older, I kinda like Rikune as well, since she doesn't have that much confidence, probably because her other sister knows how to cook. And she feels like she doesn't have that much to offer to Keita, making her insecure, so that made me feel a little hurt for her. As for Akone, I also like her a lot. Food is literally the easiest way to a man's heart, so I'm not surprised Keita spends a lot of time with her, considering she's also good with studies and is quite aggressive in terms of getting Keita's attention, while Rikune tends to be timid and reserved. But I'm glad the show tries to make it fair for both girls. If Akone has her time with Keita, then Rikune gets some special time too. Although, it is kinda wild how much they kiss in this show. I mean, there's a reason why it's called Kiss Exist. Luckily, they aren't related. Which brings me to their parents. His dad and his stepmom are all on board with the relationship he has with his stepsisters. It really is crazy. The amount of times his dad encourages him to just let go, even making a joke about oyakodon, which, if you don't know what it means, it translates to parent-child bowl, and in slang is a threesome involving your partner's mother. So, yeah. I mean, W dad, only because he's not involving himself with his stepdaughters, but I don't think a stepson makes it any better. Unless, of course, if you that's still not an excuse. Let's just move on to the next girl. Now, I'm not too interested in Mikazuki because, number one, she literally looks like a kid. But I guess it's fine for Keita because, if I'm not mistaken, he's only a year older from her. And two, she's also insane. I don't want to go into it, but let's just say Mikazuki tends to flash Keita like a lot. Yeah, Rikune and Akune do it as well, but I think I'm fine being ignorant of it as long as it's Keita who's the same age as them, which I would rather over some balding, smelly, nasty middle aged bastard that needs to get sent to the gulag. Then again, these guys shouldn't be doing it in the first place. Oh well. Moving on. Next one. We have someone who I low-key consider as the best girl in this series, who unfortunately is one of the few who has a sense of reasoning, but is also just as crazy as the other girls. I really like Mikuni, okay? Of course, not in that way, duh, but as someone who could be a potential partner for Keita. However, I won't forget the fact that we all know her now as the girl who constantly needs to pee whenever she sees Keita. At first, I felt bad for her because when Keita dragged her along while his sisters was trying to find him, she ended up peeing herself, which is already a shameful position to be in. And I did get mad at Keita for forcing Mikuni in that situation. But then she does it time and time again. Every time Mikuni sees Keita, she suddenly has the urge to pee. Like, it already sounds absurd. But that's not the reason why I would prefer her to end up with Keita. You see, in the final episodes of Kiss X, the siblings are going through a rough patch because Keita studied and worked hard, only for him to not pass the exam. That would have gotten him into Tamahide High School, the same school his older sisters go to, simply due to a miscommunication where he actually got into the spare spots to be accepted. Luckily, Mikuni found the letter that her dog almost buried, the stupid mutt, and delivered it to Keita. So imagine that. He's down in the dumps, moved on from it, try again next year just for a girl to show up in his front door, present the letter telling him he passed. Bro, if that was me, I'd be so happy I would hug the person who delivered it, no matter who it was. It just so happens that Mikuni was the one who delivered it. And that scene actually made me feel a little tingle, you know, but I gotta be nonchalant, guys. We can't be caught smiling over here, okay? Anyway, so from then on, Mikuni and Keita have this spark happening between them, making them feel awkward towards each other. Pretty much, that small scene solidified Mikuni as one of the best girls in the show. I mean, yeah, Akune and Rikune are good as well, but Mikuni is slightly special, I suppose. And last but not the least, Miss Yuzuki, the teacher. I freaking love her, okay? I was like, finally, a person technically my age. And boy, oh boy, was I happy she exists. Because I have one thing to say for that fiend of a teacher. She is an absolute baddie, like, ooh. Someone drew and animated her with the sole intention of getting eyes to glue on the screen. And you got my eyes glued, baby. But yeah, she goes out of her way and tries to slip herself in between the siblings under the guise of quote-unquote guiding the students in the right path when she herself has this crazy obsession with historical Japanese military leaders and imagines Keita as one. You know that time Keita ended up lending his used jersey to Miss Yuzuki? Well, she ended up pleasuring herself while wearing it, naked, and imagining Keita in her dream. It is absolutely crazy. Literally, the person who made this just wanted to share their fantasies, and I freaking love it. And that's why every single woman in the show is batshit insane. But out of all of this ecchi and lewd scenes, there's a certain charm this show has. I don't know if it's because of the setting or the fact that this was made back in 2010, which, by the way, there's an OVA that is apparently far more raunchier than the TV version. But yeah, something about this show feels comfortable. It feels nostalgic or even melancholic. If you remove the ecchi aspect of the show, it would have just been a simple slice of life. Yet it's done so well, so plain and straightforward, it didn't need to complicate itself to be good. Sometimes a show doesn't need to be ambitious for it to be good. And I think a lot of anime try very hard to sound, look, feel smart, or grander than what it needs to be. And that ends up falling flat. Kiss Exist, for all its freaky and wild nature, was a very intimate yet genuine experience. There are certain scenes where the soundtrack plays and the faint afternoon sunlight breaks through the room, giving this comfy and relaxing feeling, like I'm back in my childhood home when I had less things to worry about. And so, seeing the show end while the graduation song used in Japan plays in the background felt oddly painful or even heart wrenching, knowing that this was all going to end. I went as far as to search up season 2, not because I wanted more lewd scenes, but because this anime made me feel at home. And that's why I say I love this anime so much. It's simple, yes, but that's the charm of it. I picked this anime back up again, thinking I only wanted to watch a random show that I was never going to make a video out of. But here I am, finished everything, and still wanting more of it. I wish there was a season 2. But I think the OVA will be enough, and plus, there's still the manga, so I have tons of moments to savor for however long I want. But that's pretty much it. I don't care how many times I say it, I genuinely love this anime. So have a blessed day, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'll see you on the next one. Sayonara.